I belong to number 5, the invisible group. If I disappear for 3 days, nobody know that I'm not there in class.
Eric Sim is a former MD at UBS turned author with over 2 million LinkedIn followers.
What was the top moment in your life that gave you the most success?
When I published my first LinkedIn article in 2015.
So at such a senior level in your life, you were afraid of public speaking. How did you overcome that?
I stand on empty stages many times.
Your father had such a huge impact on you.
Huge impact in terms of quality, in terms of customer service.
If you could say something to him now, what would you say to him?
I think I'll ask him to, and I regretted till today, because when somebody believes in you, give you the opportunity, even nominated you, and you rejected yourself. So that is one, I think I've rejected myself far too many times.
Eric, can you tell us what your superpower is in one sentence?
It must be the ability to combine 2 different fields into one and then create a niche for myself or come up with new ideas.
Can you explain that in a bit more detail?
When I graduated, I went to banking. So I combined my engineering degree and my newfound knowledge in finance to do financial engineering. Yeah, that's how I got into banking. Because without social skills, without banking or finance knowledge, it's very difficult to break into that industry.
You know, it's difficult to become an MD in an investment bank without connections. It's well known. Your father was a hawker. What was your strategy for becoming MD?
I don't really have a strategy. I helped my father for 10 years, from primary school to year 2 in university. I learned many lessons from them. One is work ethics. Another one is understanding people, the local culture, picking up Chinese dialect. And the third one would be being observant, be attentive, because at the hawker store you need to pay attention who's running away without paying. So for work ethics wise, I remember one very important point. When helping my father, I need to wash the bowls. We had a 3-pail system. The first pail is filled with detergent and water. Second and third pails are clean water. I will soak them in the first pail, which is with detergent, for a few minutes. Then use a sponge, clean the inside, outside, one stroke, and put into the second pail. Then rinse again into the third pail. After about 30-40 bowls, the water will become slightly murky, right? So I don't quite trust the system. So one day, I was at the cooking station. I took a clean bowl, turned around, put it under running tap, and wash again. My father saw it and said, don't wash again. Because if it's clean enough for the customer, it's clean enough for you. So from then on, never wash again. I make sure that when I wash in the pail, I wash it very clean. So with that, I brought that kind of a work ethics into banking. Whatever product that I introduce to customers, I make sure it's a product that I would use if I was in the same situation as the customer.
You know, the lessons that your father taught you, was there a quote that you remember very clearly to this day?
There's no quote, it's just being attentive. So there was once it was very strange. Customer, the moment he sat down, my father said, this bowl is for him. So I brought to the customer, and the customer said, I haven't ordered yet. So I said, is your order bihun and mee, more bihun, less yellow noodle, more bean sprout, no prawns? He said yes. I said, this is for you. Because my father started cooking when he saw the customer walking towards the store. and he remembered his order. So that is customer service for me. So I also brought that to banking. A client commented on my cufflinks. I used to wear cufflink when I was in banking. I didn't say anything. 3 months later, when I visited him, I brought a similar pair for him. And he was so surprised because I didn't say I'll buy. I just say, yeah, thank you very much 3 months ago. And now he received this as a gift from me. Another episode I remember was Chinese New Year. That was, in the 1980s, 1990s. We were selling a bowl of prawn noodle for $2 at that time. So Chinese New Year, after cooking, during kind of a slower time, my father will come out of his cooking station, got a red packet, and give it to the kid. It was a mother and a daughter. And inside was $2 because I was the one who wrapped the red packet for my father. So I asked him, the noodles we sold for $2, then you gave $2 red packet. So we didn't make money. In fact, we make a loss because the ingredient also cost money, right? And to me, he said, don't be so calculative. It's a long-term relationship. We don't see customer relationship as just one transaction that day, because this customer has been patronizing our store for several years before she got married. Now she married, and then with a kid, we should show our appreciation. So that is also what I brought to banking as well. So it doesn't mean that the client got no business for me for next 2-3 years. I will ignore the client. And true enough, I've got clients who come back to me, even I've moved banks.
These are very powerful lessons that, for a young person to remember it and apply it. Your father had such a huge impact on you.
Huge impact. In terms of quality, in terms of customer service, there have been times where if it's very quiet, he would encourage his customer to say, hey, just go to the wet market store behind to buy the best cut of meat or buy the biggest prawns. He'll cook for you for free. So I said, wow, because that's also additional work. Then on a Sunday, one customer came because he got used to this type of service, and then he suddenly brought prawns, wanting my father to cook. My father said, no, it's too busy today. So it's also being firm. So you need to be nice, but there are also times that you need to draw a line. So in banking as well, our time is limited. In banking, we have to work almost 24 hours. So sometimes it's going the extra mile for the customers, but sometimes it's also saying no.
Seeing the achievements you made in your life, and even now, how it impacts so many people. What do you think your father would say to you now?
My father, he already passed away 7 years ago. I think for him, he's happy. He doesn't expect me to do a lot. What my parents expect me to do is work in an aircon place, because hawker work is too hot and too hard. Don't commit crimes and make a decent living. So I think I've achieved that. So I believe they're happy with me.
If you could say something to him now, what would you say to him?
I think I'll ask him to, in Hokkien or in Chinese is fang xing, because we spoke in Hokkien, right? So I usually ask him not to worry about me. Yeah. Then I think he would have replied, having me said this, he will feel comfortable. Yeah. I think that's what he wanted to hear.
Thank you for that sharing. We love that. Let's focus back on all the lessons that you learned and you applied to banking. What has been the most powerful lesson that got you to the MD role?
I think it's really going the extra mile for the client. I've got a client who on a Saturday say, hey, we need this data. Can you help us get it? I was in Shanghai. I was based in city Shanghai. I happened to live pretty close to the office, which is like 5-10 minutes. So immediately I drove to the office, downloaded the data, sent it to him within half an hour. Until today, he still remembered because that data was so important for him to report to his bosses. So that impressed him, and yeah, he gave me a lot of business. There was also a Japanese client. He's a CFO of a very large real estate fund in logistic properties. So he said he's going to fly to Singapore. I was based in Hong Kong. So I said, yeah, I'll fly to Singapore to meet you. So it was appreciative. And where did I bring him? We both flew to Singapore. I brought him to Geylang. Not to visit the oldest profession, but to bring him to a coffee shop to eat crab bihun, crab vermicelli. After that, he wrote me a letter, a physical letter sent from Tokyo to Hong Kong office, saying that he appreciated that I'm always thoughtful, and he wanted to continue and give me some business. I knew that he has been entertained by many bankers because this is one of the biggest clients. They would have taken him to the Michelin star restaurants or restaurants in nice swanky hotels. So I wanted to give him something different. And I've already treated him to fine dining when he visited Hong Kong. So it's things like that that the customer will feel appreciated, and you personalize it to them. But if it's a customer, maybe a junior person who just worked for 5 years, I would not have taken the person to a coffee shop in Geylang. I would have definitely treated that client to the best restaurant in town. Yeah.
You talk about personalization, which is something your father taught you. How do you know which or what experience will suit what customer?
So number one is to really understand them. Stage of life is very key. Sometimes we think culture, a person, nationality, but you tend to stereotype. Stage of life is if the person is single, married, or with kids, so their priorities will differ. So number one stage. Number two is to pay attention to the details. What is said and what is not being said. Then you will be able to customize.
It's a powerful way to approach people, not just clients, but all relationships.
Yeah.
To be attentive to, as you said, their stage in life, what their priorities are, things they're not saying.
Yes.
Because that really builds relationships in every area.
Definitely. And if you know what people are saying, if you know what they want, then you can control the relationship. And it's not always about treating people nice, because sometimes you need to say no.
It's a perspective I never had because I didn't look at relationships that way.
When I teach my students, because I teach in the universities, I teach networking, building relationship, to get a job, to get a deal. It's not always thinking about sucking up to the customers or the hiring manager. It is really to look at a relationship and you are in control. It's like the aircon. You can turn up the heat or you can turn down the heat. You can make it colder, you can make it warmer. You should be able to do both sides. It's not about treating everybody like customer is never wrong, that type of attitude. Yeah.
I agree with you. Also in what I teach in terms of whether it's your presence, your networking, how you show up. You have to decide what you want, the message you want to give to people about you. And then you set that right from the start.
Yes.
You don't let them decide. You know, you want to project your energy, your presence, whether it's your achievements, your value. And that's very important. It's something we're not taught. And that's why a lot of people are very embarrassed about promoting themselves or talking about themselves. But I always say, if you don't promote and decide on a narrative of you, who's going to do it? You're letting someone else do it.
I teach my student that you need to highlight your strength, your story. If it's your failure that gives a story, then you can also say that. It's not always about your achievement or bragging what you don't have. It's just letting people know your story and how interesting you are.
So you're doing so well as an MD, obviously, of UBS, you know, one of the big banks. Why did you decide to have a portfolio career?
I know what my life would be if I stayed for another 5-8 years. It will be making more money, but probably no time to spend. And I will be having conversation with my colleagues on what car to buy, watch, and house to upgrade. I felt that I already have the best watch, which is a Timex watch. I'm very happy with where I stay. I'm happy with my car. There's no need to upgrade. And I don't derive joy from upgrading my possession. I wanted a life that I can do what I like. I want to have the opportunity to learn things outside of banking and meet different people. So I started teaching. When I was in banking, I was already teaching. And there are people who come to me to say, hey, can you coach me, you know, to get promoted? And they're willing to pay. And they know I'm MD. And that means they paid enough money, you know, to excite me to do that. I was already writing on LinkedIn. So I thought, hey, I can write on LinkedIn to get to know people, but I need more freedom. Because when I was in banking, I'm much more careful with what I write. And I represent the bank, right? And I got more followers than UBS. So I was also quite worried that one day, you know, I may say something wrong and affect the share price, right? Yeah. So a portfolio career means I have the freedom to go into design, go into speaking, potentially publishing a book. Yeah, that's what I do. And it's very fun to work with people that you like. And every day, right, your LinkedIn messages, your WhatsApp, is always so exciting. People are coming, hey, do you want to do this together? I like your book. You know, what you wrote resonated with me. Very different from banking, where in the morning, like 6 a.m. I wake up, I check, that time was BlackBerry. It will be my New York colleagues asking me, hey, how come the client hasn't responded yet? Or end of the day, my boss would ask me to his room and say, hey, how come this quarter your performance is not as expected? Otherwise, you know, fighting with other colleagues for credit, for clients, yeah. So a different life.
When I started my own business as a solopreneur, doing coaching as well, the whole feeling is very different from being in a corporate world, because someone else has to dictate your KPIs and what the goals and targets are. Someone else is under a lot more pressure than me, so I have to do things to fulfill someone else's KPIs, which I may not agree with. And if you're taking a salary, you got to do it.
Yes.
Whereas now, I'm my own boss. Everything that's great is because of me. Everything that's bad is because of me. But I get to dictate what I want to create, what I want to build, who I want to work with. That is the most important. It's really changed the energy of my daily life, because unfortunately in the corporate world, I find that there's a lot of toxicity. There's a lot of relationships that are not healthy.
Yes.
But when you do it on your own, you choose who you work with.
Yeah.
But that's it. in a corporate world, your pay is, consistent. You know you're getting paid.
Yeah.
When you do your own thing, it's not. There's always the ups and downs.
Yeah.
How do you manage that when it's the downtime?
For me, I'm less affected by the income because over the years, I have not bought those fancy car. So I've got enough savings. I've did some really good investment. So it can last me many, many years. So when I did this portfolio career, the number one thing is to derive joy. Number two is to get to know new people so they can help me widen my perspective. Number three is to learn about culture, learn about different industries. For example, I published a book a few years ago. Now I know how publishing work, how proof editors, how typesetting work, how the bookstore sell their book, and what type of paper you print in, and the book cover, how do you design that? So I get to be involved. So I was not happy with the book cover design given by my publisher. I engaged my own designer. I worked with him until I achieved what I wanted. Yeah, and I also got to translate my English book into simplified Chinese for mainland China, traditional Chinese for Taiwan and Hong Kong market, and Bahasa Indonesia. Each one with different publisher. So from there, not only do I understand the Singapore publisher, but also different publisher, the scale, especially for China, right, is so huge. Yeah. Like in a bookstore, count yourself lucky if you can sell like 5 copies in a week. I did one live streaming with an influencer from China. We sold my book 600 copies in 1 hour. That's how powerful China, the e-commerce market is. So that I wouldn't have learned. I cannot go on media when I was still in banking.
So you're a speaker, you're a teacher, you're an author.
Yeah.
Which one do you feel has the most impact or is most beneficial for a portfolio career?
Coaching is one-to-one. Right. As a lecturer, I impact, say, 100 people in one lecture. As a speaker, if you go to a big ballroom, it can be 500 to 1,000 people. A book, my publisher told me in total, I would have sold 20 to 30,000 copies. So I estimate maybe 50,000 to 100,000 people would have read that because it's also available in the library and people might pass the book around. Then as a creator on LinkedIn, then the impact is 1 million people. So these are the different scale. But all of this is really me being a teacher. Coach is a teacher, right? Just guiding that person. Lecturing in a university, speaking even in, say, Marina Bay Sands, which I did. Then the listener are also my students, even they are like adult or experienced people. So impact is that scale in terms of numbers, but the impact to me is really teaching in the university. That gives me the most satisfaction to see young people in their 20s, some maybe 18, to see how they grow from year 1 to year 4. Because there are students who will attend my workshop every year, even if it's the same workshop. They told me they learn different things because sometimes I bring different guests. Sometimes they are at a different stage. Year 1 to year 4 is really their mindset is different. And I tweak my lecture every year to bring in new elements as well. Because I also have grown, so I have new thinking.
As a VP in a bank company, you still had stage fright and you were afraid of being on stage. So at such a senior level in your life, you were afraid of public speaking. How did you overcome that?
I stand on empty stages many times. So when I was in Citibank, we attended a lot of conferences in big hotels. It could be a 2-day conference. So at the end of each day, when the attendees are leaving, I would walk up to the stage, pretending to be looking for the clicker for the previous presenter. Then when nobody's looking at me, actually nobody pay attention because everybody's want to go home, right? They pack. And I imagine myself speaking, facing the stage. Because now the people are leaving, but the bright lights is still there, shining onto my eyes. And I try to get used to that environment. So it's visualization. So that helps. And sometimes I think of, okay, what story can I talk about? I share that with my friends. I don't tell them what I'm preparing for my speech. So I just share a story and see their reaction. So then I just practice that. And I go to university to give a campus recruitment talk. And it's a bit easier, right? Because it was in the school environment. I was a VP. They know nothing about banking. So I don't feel so scared.
And now when you go on stage, how do you feel?
Now, depending. If it's a new topic, I still get a little bit nervous. I think it's also good because if I don't feel nervous, then it's not exciting for me anymore. Yeah. But usually I can overcome the nervousness in the first 2-3 minutes.
And that's the key, because a lot of people ask me, how do you become so confident and you're not afraid of speaking on stage? But I always tell them, I've done this for 30 years.
Yes.
Before every new situation, I mean, if you've done something over and over again, it's familiarity.
Yeah.
You feel more confident.
Yes.
But when it's a new stage, the first time you're speaking to a new audience, for all of us, no matter how long we've done it, there's always that initial, I will call it adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's adrenaline. Some people see it as nervousness, stage fright, excitement. You decide what you want to call it. But we all have that same feeling of adrenaline.
Yeah.
And it's about regulating your nervous system and knowing that you are in control. And then usually in the first minute when you're first getting used to it, after that very quickly, it comes to you, because especially when you're speaking from a space of your own expertise, your own experience,
That's
what
much
you want to
easier.
share, what you're passionate about, it flows through.
So what I do is I visit the venue. If it's in Singapore, maybe a few hours before. Sometimes I go to visit the place the day before. If it's a 2-day conference and I'm speaking on the second day, first day I'll just go in, say hi to the cameraman, to the sound man, and the organizer. So that they know my style. So I'll tell them I walk around a lot. I'll come down from the stage into the audience. So if you want to shoot a good video, you should have somebody to follow me around. So they like that.
What was the top moment in your life that gave you the most success?
When I published my first LinkedIn article in 2015 over Chinese New Year, when I was still working in Hong Kong for UBS, because that changed my life. That article, number one, improved my confidence, because one of the weaknesses that I always wanted to overcome is my poor English and writing skill. I failed my English, in school. It was a bit embarrassing, right? You're MD at a top bank and your English is not good. I didn't have to write a lot. The analyst will write for me. Most important is I get the clients to give me the deal. And it's a lot about entertaining the client, understanding the client's problem and coming up with creative solution. So writing was not a big part of my job, but it's something that has been bugging me. About a year later, because of my writing, one editor from eFinancial Careers, is a job portal for banking and finance. He just featured me out of nowhere. He said that star banker Eric Sim in Hong Kong. Number one is my writing is okay for him to recognize me. Number two is very shortly after he said, hey, can you contribute a few articles? So now this is serious. Now it's not on LinkedIn. I need to contribute articles to him for him to put on his publication. I said, can you help me edit? Because I don't think I'm that good. So I submitted one. He changed only 3 words and published it. And he said the response was good. So you mean I now can write for a proper publication without being said that I was wrong or I need to change this? Because I think in the past, whenever I submitted anything like that within banking, people just change the order, change your sentence structure, and that's how LinkedIn is so powerful. It's meeting people. It's not the number of followers. It's also not the number of engagement. If you just go for that, then you are wasting. You're not using LinkedIn to its maximum potential.
Yeah. One of the things I found about LinkedIn is it's widened my network. Because I've been in the media industry for so long. I only know media people.
Yes.
But when I started doing my business, I met obviously clients of a different industry, mostly finance and banking. But LinkedIn gave me a wider scope of people in different professions. What was the biggest failure or disappointment that also gave you great lessons?
So I think it was in secondary too that we need to do both woodwork and metalwork. I was quite good at woodwork, and the teacher said, hey, Eric, why don't you go and join this competition? It's on Saturday. He nominated me to join the competition. Then I thought to myself, yeah, I'm good, but not so good. I'm not going to win this competition. And I was also very much affected by my classmates. Because most of my classmates say, woodwork, unless you want to make coffin, you should do metalwork. So I didn't go on that Saturday. And I regretted till today, because when somebody believes in you, give you the opportunity, even nominated you, and you rejected yourself. So that is one, I think I've rejected myself far too many times. Even when somebody show me an opportunity, then sometimes I always tell myself, this person is being very kind. I'm not so good. Yeah.
That is so real for many people because for some reason, whether it's our own, they call it limiting beliefs or conditioning that we think we're not good enough, that even when someone else says, no, actually, you can do it. I believe you can do it. Quite often, it's hard to believe that person when your own self-belief is saying, no lah, no lah.
Yeah,
no.
how can I...
But when someone appears like that in our lives, I think that's the time to say, okay, someone believes in me. Someone sees something I don't.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, so now I try to treasure that opportunity and try by all means, go for it. Somebody invited me to give a TEDx talk. So I was just beginning to speak, so still not very confident. The TEDx talk, wow, is like a big deal, right? 400, 500 people in that room. I was so nervous. I failed completely, and I refused to watch that first TEDx talk. But it's something that I needed to go through, because when the second one came, I was convinced by the organizer to do it again, but different organizer. Because I said, what can I do? Because the first time I already flopped. He said, just tell your story. So the second time, I just told my story. The TEDx talk was about selling noodles for 10 years. So that's my title. Then, yeah, I did much better. So, but without doing the first one, I wouldn't do well in the second one. So sometimes these opportunities, when it come, you don't have to do it perfectly. Even if you do 50-60%, you just have to go through it, and you will be better in the next few opportunities. Yeah.
You published your book, and I wrote on my LinkedIn. I actually had the first prize for creative writing when I was in secondary school. And then meanwhile, Eric failed his English. But guess who wrote that book first? Do you remember I wrote that post?
Yes.
Because I met you at your book signing.
Yes.
So with your book, how has that changed your life?
It gives me a lot more clarity in my thinking, because we have many thoughts, but it's always like cloudy in your head. But once you put down in words and you edit, the editing is like 20-30 times for each version. So I would have read my book, edit probably 100 times. Number two is, I believe it gives me more credibility, because sometimes, okay, if you are MD, okay, you got a good title, you got a decent number of followers, but how come you don't have a book? And you're a teacher. So having a book gives me that credibility, and also gives me more engagement, speaking engagement as well, because people, the organizer, when they engage me, they want a full package. I was speaking in Cambridge last year, and my publisher, World Scientific, got a London office, sent somebody from London to Cambridge, and sent the books ahead. And they were selling the books before my speech, and after my speech, I was signing the book. So it makes it look more solid, the entire event, including speaking, that comes in as a package. Because to be able to write and speak, I think is also a very powerful combination. A lot of people can speak, but writing may not be their interest. People who can write may be too shy to speak.
You have over 2 million followers on LinkedIn. That's quite a feat. How do you find people react to you before they know you have such a big following and after they find out?
I need to bring you back to my school days, right? In school, there are 5 types of students. Number 1 is the top student, score high in exam. Number 2 group is the sports captain, right? They are popular as well. Number 3 are the social butterfly. They attend all the parties. People want them to be around. Number 4 is the gangsters, tuck out their shirt, smoke in the toilets. I belong to number 5, the invisible group. If I disappear for 3 days, nobody know that I'm not there in class. So that is how I was in school, and now I get recognized on the street. And then sometimes when people introduce me, they say, oh, this is Eric Sim, and then he has over 2 million followers. It helps me build trust much quickly. So there is no need for me to sell myself too much, or trying to list my credentials or hint that I've done this and that. Very quickly, they ask me, and if I find a person interesting, it's very easy for me to get information, and hopefully the person has something interesting to teach me. So that is the biggest impact for me, from being invisible to visible.
But how do you find people change or treat you differently when they realize you have this following?
They want to know how you do it. They want to know what's so special about you. But of course, there are people who wants to collaborate, who treat me nicer. But I value that. People come with sincerity. Maybe some people think, oh, there must be a lot of people who wants to take advantage of you, leverage your followers. So far, not there are a handful, but not so many. In general, I find people sincerely want to know me, and then it's good for me. So previously, I need to reach out to people. Now, I got people reaching out to me, and for those people who are sincere and interesting, I spend more time with them.
Who is your biggest supporter now?
Still my mother all along. She never expect a lot from me. She, in fact, these days, all along said, don't work so hard. And no need to make so much money. You know, my father was a hawker. She was the housewife, helping my father, slice a prawn. Asked me to help out. So she is always there for me, and I think even if I don't achieve what I've achieved today, she'll still be there.
What would you like to do for her?
No, I just see her more regularly, and call her more often. And when I'm on Chinese radio, I let her know. So she likes to listen to that radio interview. I mean, she's quite happy when I appear on newspaper or on TV.
Is there a message you would like to tell her?
I would say to her is, I'm having a good life, and I'm not working as hard as you think. I'm not making as much money as you think.
So for people who want to become global speakers, what would you advise? What 3 steps would you tell them to take?
If you are already speaking, because you want to be a global speaker, that means you must be already speaking locally. So number 1 is to travel to those places that you like to speak in. Eat their food. You want to speak in India, make sure you eat Indian food. You want to speak in Vietnam, make sure you eat Vietnamese food.
Why?
Because to know a culture, you must eat, especially their street food. That's what I do. The first thing I go to a place is to eat the street food. And when you can accept or you can enjoy their street food, then you can really feel the culture. Because it's difficult to read about the history, and that takes time. I think eating one dish, you can do it in a day, right? Yeah. So, and you must travel there before you even get the speaking engagement to feel the place. Number 2 is craft your speech so that it's appealing to an international audience. Sometimes speakers, they cater to a local audience, or even when they write on LinkedIn, it's for local audience. Then it's difficult for the international organizer to engage you. If you are using a lot of local lingo, as much as like Singaporeans, we like our hawker food. Most countries, they don't even know what hawkers mean. That definitely not related to food. Although it's such a big culture for us. And number 3 is to write on LinkedIn and get some online presence. Because when they see you on LinkedIn, then they can engage you. So in terms of speaking, most people don't have a problem. They will know how to find a topic. But whether you are known so that the organizer can engage you. Because when the organizer engage you, it's not just the organizer knowing you. They need to know how to sell you to their audience.
What are you most worried that people might find out about you?
I think I'm not as nice a person as what it seems online. Online, because I'm always with students, I'm always very kind. I think people who have dealt with me long enough will know that's not the case. Yeah. So I can fire people. I fired MDs and other juniors as well when I was in banking. I can cut people off if I feel that person is insincere, has hidden agenda that would harm my community. Even if collaborating with them is profitable, I will not do it. So one person that I knew from school, from university time, we are not close, but we knew each other. Then we both happened to work in Hong Kong in the banking sector. One day he, out of the blue, came and said, "Oh, I've written a book about investment," because that was before I wrote my book, but he already wrote one. And he said, "I've done the heavy lifting. Can you help me promote my book?" So I didn't want to promote his book because I don't know him well enough. I got no time to read the book. And I didn't want to pretend. So I just told him that I don't have time to read your book, but I'll buy a copy to support you. Then I sent him a screenshot that I bought. He was so upset. He refunded me the money. Even though I didn't want it, then he just PayNow me, just got my Singapore number and just pay me. But this is what I do to people, And yeah, I can be ruthless at times. Yeah. But this is the side that people don't see online.
Because to be very successful in your career, I think there has to be very clear boundaries you draw. And some would say ruthlessness. And some would call it ambition. Some would call it maybe even self-serving, right? Whatever the description or narrative is, there has to be a combination of that. Because if you're so nice to everyone, it's hard to go to that kind of level that, the top level.
Yeah, you cannot be an MD in a top investment bank by being nice. Definitely not. You're competing with competitors from other banks. You're competing with colleagues as well. You need to draw the boundary, just that people don't see that. And there's no need for me to use that these days, because there's not much money is being involved at my current stage of life. Yeah. So that's the side that sometimes I wonder if people know about that. Will they still follow me on LinkedIn?
Well, I will still follow you, Eric. And I want to thank you for sharing your inner thoughts, for sharing your authenticity. From the first time I met you, I first met you on Clubhouse online.
Yes.
And then when I met you in person, it was at your book launch.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I met you. And I was very excited to meet you. And we've sort of had a little bit of connection, over the years. And I found you to be so generous with your time, with your lessons, with your context. You've shared me context for so many different things. And you have such a heart of the teacher. You want to help people to be better, do better.
Yeah.
And I see it in all the conversations we've had, our own personal conversations, in terms of what you share on LinkedIn. And even today, it's not just sharing your lessons, you put it in such a clear, systematic way, in such a good analogy that's easy to receive and learn. And it's not just the heart, it's the effectiveness of what you share with such passion.
Because I was a poor student, poor in terms of grades, I'm a good teacher.
So thank you so much for what you're doing for so many people and the impact that you have on all of us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay, one more thing.
Yeah.
I'd like you to draw.
Oh, okay. Started my life as a hawker assistant to my father. And when he quit doing this, I got a job as a bartender in fire disco. Then with that experience, I got into DBS Bank. But because I lacked social skills, I quit after 2 years, thinking that, go to UK, do a Masters of Science in Finance, learn about finance because I got an engineering degree, and also pick up social skills. Little did I know, when I came back in 1997, it was the Asian financial crisis. So no job in London because I couldn't dress, couldn't speak well. Came back, all the front office job disappeared. I then looked for a risk management job, which is a middle office job. Got 2 job offers, one from a French bank, one from Standard Chartered Bank. The Standard Chartered Bank boss was a lot better. And so I took up that job. True enough, he treated me well, sent me to Hong Kong, sent me back to London. And I developed my international career. Then with that experience, I joined Citi. But before I joined Citi, I actually tried to get my PhD because I really wanted to be a professor. Applied to Princeton, got rejected, so no choice, continue my banking career. And Citi, I worked for 8 years. Citi, Singapore, Shanghai, Hong Kong. Then went to UBS. After UBS, in fact, during UBS, I was also an adjunct associate professor at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And after UBS, I set up Institute of Life. So now I'm the author, I'm a speaker, a coach, and write on LinkedIn. So this is my journey. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, and really thank you for the vulnerability that you shared.
No, it's something that I want people to learn, because I think people learn less from successes. Yeah, they learn more from failures. But ideally, other people's failures, not their own.
Yes. Thank you.